I got the idea for this video from a young YouTuber. I'm not going to say the person's name since I plan to go hard because I don't want to link their name to this because I understand that person's building a brand. Therefore, since their brand is slightly larger than mine, I won't. But the one thing that person said makes a lot of sense that we as foundational Black Americans need to discuss, okay? The images of the Red Sea, right, is something that we all know, something we're all familiar with, right? What a way for me to start this year on this channel. And we're familiar with the story of how this sea was parted and how Pharaoh lost a good chunk of his army. And it's just like the film The Ten Commandments, where Ramses II sends the army, but I don't think he himself went off into the sea and lost a great bit of men chasing Moses. And see, the thing about it is, the Israelites were in this slavery for at least 400 years because generations of Joseph's influence had passed, excuse the burp. And the newer Egyptians of the time were not familiar with Joseph and his achievements, or because it had already happened, they'd already returned to their maiming and to their debauchery. Of course, we know the whole story of Moses and how God took him out of Pharaoh's house after he killed an Egyptian for a Hebrew. He ran, came back, and then instructed his people how to go into the promised land because his disobedience kept him out. Leaders are a good thing to have, but they're flawed, right? But we know historically that 400-year parallel is not the only time it happened. We know, of course, it probably is, given that our history, 1619 to 2019, there is a parallel there. Okay. The female Moses in our case was Harriet Tubman. She's also come and gone. And Harriet Tubman is very famous for what she said about slavery that people miss. That she saved people and she would save 1,000 more if they had recognized they were slaves. And see, while the Israelites recognized they were slaves, they turned right back to the very things their masters did, which is the golden calf, the worship of Mammon. Now, what does this have to do with our modern day? Because I'm going to make this as quick as I possibly can. Why does this matter to foundational Americans today? We have a lot of things that we have going on, right? Like the want for reparations. And I'm not here to say yay or nay, okay? More burping, my bad. I just want to get you to get to the understanding that young YouTuber I told you about is the reason I made this video. Because that person said something that we all know is true, and that I'll have to keep beating this dead horse. Harriet Tubman went back to get as many of you as she could, and y'all didn't want to leave. Moses took them out of there, and instead of their faith in God, they needed to make their own God and dance on it while he was on the mountain conversing with the God that saved them, the one and true God. These people saw a whole sea part into two and allowed them to walk through without caving in on and drowning them. They watched plagues hit Egypt and they knew it was God. And they still chose disobedience after that. Harriet Tubman lived to be an old woman on her land with an apple farm, despite the fact that she did have some debts dying, as she was dying, I mean. You all will sit here and see these miracles or see these stories, and it still doesn't connect. This isn't a rant about disobedience. This is a rant about getting you all to understand. No one's coming to save you. And I feel like this is from the Most High. And the reason I say that this comes from the Most High is because when he allowed Moses to save you, you turned back on him and turned to your debauchery and your maiming, melting your gold into a calf to worship because God wasn't moving fast enough for you. With Harriet Tubman, he sent her and you all stayed because of fear, which, though understandable, you still allowed yourself to stay in a persecution that wasn't making your life any easier. Leadership didn't work for you. And Harriet Tubman, because I know people might have their differences of opinion. Some aspects of Harriet Tubman, I have my ambivalence about I won't discuss here. I want to stay on the topic. The reason we're having this conversation is because you can have all the charismatic leaders in the world. You still have to be willing to listen to leaders in a collective who really mean what they say. For the record, I don't believe in all these racial leaders. Do you not find it funny that you have a whole lot of black Moseses walking around these days, a whole lot of Harriet Tubmans, who started an organization saying your lives matter, but was taking the money that should have been given to the victims and buying themselves millions of dollars worth of property? Your black Moseses who show up to marches and their minimum down payment to even show their faces between 20 to 30,000 because they don't want to be Moses unless Maimon is involved. Don't tell me y'all missed this connection. Because see, these days, Moses has to get paid. Moses got to get that cheddar to save you. Moses ain't going to come just rescue you. Moses has to have something in return. See, Harriet Tubman had a big expanse of land up in New York with apple trees. She had an apple orchard. And she risked all that freedom to come back to save people, and half of them just wanted to sit there. Moses lived in Pharaoh's house and was willing to go live Spartan and then returned and helped an ungrateful people. See, there was a time when people who wanted to help you at least attempted to make the sacrifice, even when they had flaws, because both Moses and Harriet Tubman have flaws. See, our race of people are still on, some of us are, excluding myself, I can say for myself, are still on that Moses complex, that Moses issue. See, the people who should be helping you with reparations, the people who should be helping with the young people who are fatherless, the people who should be helping with the gender war are too busy making money off of you and stacking their own cheddar to care, to be a real Moses for you. They do just enough to get money from you and live fat and watch you suffer. And here's what I'll say about that. I don't think in any capacity you should sit and think that money or anything should come free to you anyway. A man does not work, he does not eat. That's biblical. You can't take and sit here and say, oh, we're old reparations and the Most High gonna get his revenge. But in the meantime, that's in the Most High's book, and a lot of y'all don't do it. You don't work to eat. This isn't to be offensive. I'm trying to get y'all to wake up and see what is. Okay? Nobody's coming to save you. I've already given you a synopsis of who your modern day Moses is, and I put this out on New Year's Day, not to tick you off, but to get you to see ain't nobody coming. After hundreds of years of going through these things, Moses, or the modern personification of that, exploits you and makes a habit of sitting and gaslighting you by acting like they care when they don't. Stuff hit the fan tomorrow. They're going to go off in their fancy basements or in their fancy bunker in their basement somewhere and not have a care in the world about you. Wherever you are right now, it's 2025, okay? Stop playing games and get some skills. Because I'm telling you right now, you're waiting for a system to rescue you. You're waiting for some of your own who have affluence to rescue you. And all of those Moseses haven't done it yet. Get over the Moses issue and get yourself a plan and get it together.